The universe is not gentle. It does not ask permission to unravel. It does not check your calendar before it storms. And chaos does not wait for you to be ready. It doesn't knock. It breaks down the door and asks nothing of you but everything you are. There is no warning, no grand trumpet, no cinematic crescendo before the floor caves in. Sometimes it's a phone call. Sometimes it's silence that lasts too long. A glance, a moment. A decision you didn't make, or one you did but wish you hadn't. And suddenly, the life you knew becomes a stranger. Cold, unfamiliar, collapsed. Murphy's Law of everything that can go wrong. Will has never been a curse. It's not the laughter of the universe at your misfortune. It is the truth. A truth that burns away fantasy, leaves only raw reality behind. The truth that life is not a straight road. It's a battlefield with hidden mines, a sea with invisible storms, a path paved with shifting sand and no handrails. But here's what most don't understand. Murphy's Law doesn't exist to break you. It exists to reveal you. Because you do not find out who you are when the sun is shining and the wind is calm. You find it when the lights go out, when the map is gone, when the compass spins and your knees buckle and there's no applause, no guidance, no rescue coming. You find yourself not by standing tall, but by falling and rising anyway. Everything that can go wrong will. But what if that's the invitation? What if the breaking is not the end, but the beginning? What if every disaster is a doorway? The ones who survive aren't the ones who avoid the fall. They are the ones who fall with their eyes open, who hit the ground and get back up, not because they're unscathed, but because they refuse to stay down. See, the myth of control has always been comforting and always been false. You don't get to control the winds. You don't get to dictate the terms of fate. The car will break. The company will collapse. The relationship will rot. The machine will fail. The rain will fall when you begged for sun. This is not pessimism. This is life. But here's what matters. You are not the storm. You are not what happens to you. You are what you decide to become through it. Murphy's Law doesn't mean give up. It means prepare. It means fortify your soul, because certainty is an illusion. It means build something inside you that no recession, no betrayal, no chaos can take. There's a kind of beauty in that. A brutal kind. Because when you stop waiting for life to behave, when you stop expecting fairness, ease, and linear progress, you finally see clearly. And in that clarity, you become dangerous not to the world, but to your own limitations. So let it all go wrong. Let the world slip from its axis. Let the foundations crack. Let the rain pour in. And when it does, when the walls shake and the sky burns and the plans scatter like ash and wind, you will remain. Because you were not built to be safe. You were not built to be pampered. You were built to withstand. When it all falls apart, you must not. Because this is not the death of your story, it's the moment your real one begins. And then, it happens. Not in thunder, not in drama, not with the poetry you thought pain would have. It happens in the simplest way. A message you didn't expect. A quiet goodbye that feels more like an echo than an explosion. A decision made without you, or worse, because of you. The moment doesn't scream. It just shifts, and everything you were standing on, everything you thought was solid, buckles beneath your feet. That's when you learn the breaking is never theatrical. It's quiet. It's personal. It's humiliating in a way that no one else quite understands. And maybe that's the cruelest part, though alone it feels. How the world keeps spinning like nothing happened, while you're trying to figure out how to breathe again. You lose the job. You lose the person. You lose the dream. And there you are, standing in the ruins, thinking, this wasn't supposed to happen. Not like this. Not to me. But it did. And now the question is no longer, why me? The question is, what now? Because survival is not something you stumble into. It's not passive. It's not a side effect of time. It's a choice. A deliberate, brutal, moment-by-moment choice. You don't wait for the pain to pass you rise while it burns. People will say, just stay positive. But that's not what gets you through. What gets you through is truth, cold, clear, and unshakable. The truth that this pain is real. That the world will not hand you peace. That comfort is rented, and chaos always comes to collect. But here's the deeper truth. If you're still breathing, you're not done. The fall does not mean failure. It means friction. It means contact with the hard floor of reality, with your own limits, with the steel underneath your skin you forgot was there. You think you've hit the bottom, but what you've actually hit is the foundation. Now you get to build, but not the same fragile thing as before. This time, you don't build a life that can be taken away with a phone call or a broken promise. This time, you build from what you've earned, from scar tissue, from perspective, from fire. This time, you know that strength is not the absence of struggle, it's what you do with it. So when it breaks ended, will you meet it? Not with panic, not with pleading, but with presence, with that part of you that was made for the moment the plan fails. You were made for the moment the plan fails. And if no one ever told you that, then let this be the first. You are not here to be untouched by disaster. You are here to be transformed by it. Let the others dream of ease. You were born for storms. Ease has never written history. Comfort has never carved greatness. And luck? Luck is the lie we whisper to make sense of someone else's fight. Because the truth is, you were not built to be lucky. You were built to be unbreakable. Look around. Look past the polished smiles and surface-level wins. Dig deeper. Behind every success story worth telling is a graveyard of pain, sacrifice, and near collapse. Behind every rise is a fall, sometimes many, but no one talks about the nights they wept into their hands. No one posts the days they couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't believe. You only see the after, the glow-up, the reward, but the soul of the story that's forged in the dark. So let's kill the myth now. The myth that the path is supposed to be smooth, that the great ones got there by chance, that resilience is a gift some are born with. It's not. It's earned. It's trained. It's chosen when everything inside you screams to quit, and you don't. You don't become strong by reading about it. You become strong by surviving the things that should have broken you and refusing to let them own your name. When Murphy's Law shows up, most people run. Most people curse the sky, blame the system, retreat into their excuses. But the ones who rise, they nod, they breathe, they step forward. Because when everything that could go wrong does, it strips you bare. It steals your stories. It exposes every illusion you ever clung to, and in that moment, you can mourner, you can become. Become the person who no longer needs perfect conditions. Become the soul who learns to build in rain, in ruin, in rejection. Become the force that feeds on the very things meant to destroy you. When you stop wishing for ease, you start unlocking the parts of you that were dormant all along. The muscle, the fire, the clarity, the grit, the grace. in pain, the patience in the storm, the vision in the fog. You begin to understand that life was never about avoiding chaos, it was about becoming the kind of being who can stand inside it, untouched, eyes open, heart still beating, hands still building. You are not here to be lucky. You are here to endure, to grow, to rise. You are here to stare down the worst and find something inside you louder than fear, heavier than doubt, stronger than the collapse around you. You were not chosen for the easy path. You were forged for the impossible one. And if that scares you, good. It means you're ready. The fear is data. The fall is data. The failure, the silence, the rejection, the broken deal, the ghosted call, the shattered planal of it is data. Not judgment, not damnation, just feedback. Just information about what the world is and what you are not yet. But here's the key. Most people are too afraid to listen. They think failure says something final about who they are, that pain means punishment, that a loss means they're unworthy. But pain is not a verdict. It's a signal. It tells you what needs to change, what needs to evolve, what needs to be rebuilt stronger, smarter, sharper. Pain is not your enemy. It's your instruction manual. It tells you where the weak points are. It shows you where you've been faking strength, where you've been coasting on comfort, where you need to go deeper, work harder, think differently. The most dangerous lie in the world is that pain is pointless. It's not. It's the most honest language life speaks. When your heart breaks, listen. It's not just breaking. It's showing you what mattered most. When your plan collapses, listen. It's not just failure. It's a map pointing to the assumptions that betrayed you. When you're ignored, underestimated, dismissed, don't collapse. Collect. Gather every ounce of doubt they throw and turn it into fuel. History was not written by the ones who got it right the first time. It was written by the ones who learned fast, bled with intention, and refused to stay where they fell. Ask anyone who ever built something real, an empire, a vision, a life that mattered. They'll tell you, success is not the absence of wrong turns. It's the relentless integration of every wrong turn into a sharper compass. Failure becomes a blueprint. Loss becomes a lens. Chaos becomes a classroom. And you? You become a different kind of being. Less fragile, less entitled, more grounded, more precise, more willing to suffer temporarily for the sake of something permanent. This is what the world never tells you. The fire is not here to consume you. It's here to refine you. It burns the falsehoods. It melts the masks. It tests the foundations. And if you're willing to face it, not flinch from it, not curse it, but face it, you'll start to see clearly. Not just what went wrong, but why. And what to do next. Because this is not about avoiding the fall. It's about collecting the wreckage, understanding the angles, and building something the fall can't touch next time. You don't fear disaster when you learn to harvest its wisdom. You don't run from failure when you know how to read it. And when Murphy's Law knocks again, and it will, you'll be ready, not because you're lucky, but because now you understand. What breaks you builds you, if you choose it to. Somewhere in the ashes, purpose begins to whisper. Not in the way you imagined it, not with clarity or comfort. It doesn't arrive with trumpets. It crawls in quietly, beneath the rubble of what used to be. In the places you never wanted to be taken, it begins to speak, not loudly, but undeniably. This is where most people miss it. They think purpose is discovered at the top of the mountain. They think meaning waits in the moments of triumph, in the applause, in the celebration. But purpose isn't born in the victory. It's born in the void, in the questions no one answers, in the losses no one prepares you for, in the nights you don't think you'll survive. Right there is where the fire starts. Not to destroy you, but to ignite what you never knew was there. You don't find purpose when everything goes right. You find it when nothing else makes sense but moving forward. The ones who carry real purpose, heavy and holy, are never the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who were broken down to dust and still chose to get up, not for show, not for validation, but because something deep within said, "Not yet. There's more." It's the soldier who lost everything and comes back to serve those still bleeding. It's the mother who buries her child and chooses to fight for someone else's. It's the artist who failed for 10 years and creates one thing that changes the world. Purpose does not wait for you to be ready. It meets you in the wreckage and dares you to stand anyway. It is forged in moments of total loss, when you're staring at the pieces of what you once were, wondering if anything will ever make sense again. And it says, build here, right here, in this grief, in this silence, in this unwanted truth. Because what you build in the ruins is real. Not borrowed, not inherited, not copied, yours. Earned through fire, stained with your own blood, built not to impress, but to matter. And once you touch that kind of purpose, once you hear its voice, you'll never trade it for a shallow life again. You won't envy the comfortable. You'll pity them, because they don't know. They don't know what it means to find something worth bleeding for, something that calls you forward even when your legs shake, something that makes every failure a lesson, every scar a scripture, every loss a foundation. That's what this is. Not punishment, not misfortune, but the beginning of something sacred, something carved from your own pain and turned into power. So don't wait for purpose to arrive dressed in gold. Look for it in the dirt, in the fire, in the heartbreak, because that's where it hides, and that's where it becomes yours. But once you find it once, purpose has rooted itself in the cracks of your ruin. It demands something more. It does not let you sit still. It does not allow you to settle for survival. It looks you dead in the eye and says, now burn. Not in destruction, in transformation. This is the turning point, the threshold between the person you were and the person you were meant to become. The fire isn't there to punish you. It's there to forge you. The old you? That version can't carry the weight of what comes next. That version was built for comfort, not conquest. That version was afraid of the dark. But the version you're building now, that one walks into fire willingly. Because here's what most people never understand. Pain is power, but only if you know how to hold it, only if you learn how to metabolize it. Most people choke on their suffering. They drown in the unfairness of it all. But you will drink it like fuel. You will let it light your bones. You will let it teach you how to become something so dangerous, so deliberate, so unwavering, that life's worst storms won't know what to do with you. They told you the fire would consume you, but what if it's the only thing that could complete you? What if it's not the thing you run from, but the thing you run toward? Every setback, every heartbreak, every time you are underestimated, overlooked, torn down, that's not just part of your story. That is the fire, and the fire is the way, because it burns away everything false, everything weak, everything unnecessary, until all that remains is the truth of you, the part that doesn't flinch, doesn't fade, doesn't beg. And in that moment, in that heat, you realize something most never do. The worst thing that ever happened to you didn't destroy you. It delivered you to a version of yourself you didn't even know existed, one that doesn't crumble under pressure, one that doesn't fear loss, one that doesn't wait for permission to rise. You want to be powerful? Don't avoid the fire. Become it. Stand in the flames and let them show you what you're really made of. Let them carve a clarity into your soul that no doubt can undo. Let them purify your purpose until it burns brighter than the chaos around you. This is not the end. This is the furnace. And when you step out of it, you won't just be stronger. You'll be untouchable. Because after the fire, the test begins. The world won't applaud your transformation. It won't hand you a certificate or carve your name into the wind. Number. It will throw more at you. It will ask again and again, do you mean it? That's what chaos does. It tests character. Not once. Not when it's convenient. Always. Especially when you think you've made it. Especially when you're tired. Especially when your guard is down. Chaos will show up not as a monster, but as distraction, as doubt, as temptation to return to who you used to be. And that's the real war not between you and the world, but between the old you and the one you're becoming. The one who reacts versus the one who responds. The one who breaks under pressure versus the one who breathes through it. The one who waits for calm versus the one who creates it inside. Discipline is not about control over your schedule or your habits. It's about dominion over your mind when everything around you is collapsing. It's about silence when panic is screaming in your ear. It's about presence when your instincts beg you to escape. The strong are not those who force the world to obey them. The strong are those who can navigate the world as it is without losing who they are. When you walk through chaos with composure, when you stare into uncertainty without blinking, when you carry yourself like nothing outside of you can shake what's inside of you, that's power. That's the kind of power that can't be bought, can't be faked, and sure as hell can't be stolen. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you convenience. It will cost you the illusion that life owes you anything easy. But in return, you gain the only thing that matters when it all falls apart, control over yourself. Because the world will never be stable. It will never stop shifting. It will never stop breaking. But your mind, your soul, your reaction, that can become immovable. Let others build their confidence on trends and titles. Let them fall when things don't go their way. You will be the one who stands, who adapts, who thrives in the chaos, not by mastering the external, but by mastering the internal. You can't predict the storm, but you can become the kind of person the storm regrets meeting. And when the storm finally hits with its full weight, when the sky tears open and the ground trembles beneath you, something incredible happens. You don't flinch. You don't run. You don't crumble. You stand still. Because you've become the eye of the storm, the calm inside the chaos, the silence in the scream. Around you, the world can collapse. Plans can fall apart. People can betray. Structures can burn, but inside you, there is peace. Not because you're untouched, but because you've chosen not to be undone. This is the kind of strength that doesn't make headlines. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it is unshakable, and it is rare. Most people spend their lives reacting, absorbing, drowning in the noise, but you have built a center that chaos cannot reach. You didn't just survive the fire. You understood it. You let it temper you. You let it carve away the weakness. And now, you don't fear the next wave. You welcome it. Not because you want to suffer, but because you know who you are now. You are not a product of what happens around you. You are not a reflection of others' opinions, or the economy, or the weight of circumstance. You are a force. You've learned to walk with steady breath in places others run from. You've learned to carry stillness, not because the world gave you peace, but because you created it in defiance of the storm. This is what mastery looks like. Not perfection, not control, but presence deep, unshakable presence in the face of what should have broken you. You're not calm because everything is fine. You're calm because you chose to be. You're not unbroken because life spared you. You're unbroken because you refused to give the storm that power. And now the winds can howl, the thunder can roar, and the world can misread your silence as surrender, but you know the truth. You've become the center, the anchor, the constant. You don't need to prove it. You just need to keep standing. Because the eye of the storm doesn't fight the wind. It just is. And so are you. There will come a moment, in fact, when the world refuses you. Not politely, not gently. It will shut the door in your face. It will deny your effort, your truth, your vision. It will write your story wrong and read it louder than you ever could. It will misunderstand you so deeply, so consistently, that you'll start to wonder if you're the one who's confused. And this is where most people shrink. They begin to believe the noise. They begin to absorb the story written about them instead of writing the one within them. They trade authorship for approval. They trade their truth for comfort. And little by little, they disappear not all at once, but by degrees, until they wake up and no longer recognize the sound of their own soul. But not you, because you've already walked through fire. You've already stared down the storm. And now, when the world tries to rewrite you, you don't argue. You create. You don't beg to be seen. You build something that can't be ignored. You don't water yourself down for comfort. You sharpen your edge for clarity. Because you understand something sacred now. The world's opinion is not your mirror. It never was. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to be real. And real doesn't always fit the script. Real doesn't always win the vote. Real is inconvenient. It's raw. It makes people uncomfortable because it reminds them of what they've abandoned in themselves. But real is the only thing that lasts when everything else burns. So write your narrative, not with words, but with choices. With how you rise after being ignored, with how you hold your ground when you're underestimated, with how you speak when your voice shakes and still speak anyway. You don't need their validation to be true. You don't need their permission to matter. And you damn sure don't need their applause to keep going. You are not what they say you are. You are what you do when no one's looking. You are what you build when no one believes. You are what you become when no one thinks you can. Let them doubt. Let them reject. Let them erase. Because in time, the world always remembers what it tried to forget. And when it looks back, it won't find a victim. It will find you unchanged by their dismissal, defined by your defiance. The world breaks the weak, but it breaks the strong too. The difference? The strong rebuild themselves differently. And rebuilding isn't about going back. It's not about restoring what was. It's about becoming what never was before. Not a copy of who you were in evolution. Adaptation is not weakness. It's not surrender. It's one of the most violent, courageous acts a human can commit. To say, this isn't working. This version of me can't carry the weight anymore. It's time to shed. It's time to shift. And it's terrifying, because to adapt, you have to let go. Let go of the identity that used to protect you. Let go of the plan you swore you'd follow. Let go of the image you built for a world that no longer fits. You have to release the past not because it wasn't real, but because it's done. Most people cling to titles, to relationships, to routines that are killing them. They grip harder as the walls crack, thinking effort alone can resurrect something already dead. But the truth? Sometimes survival requires surrender. Let it fall. Let what's collapsing collapse. Because once the dust settles, you will see what's still standing, and that's what's real. That's what's yours. The rest was scaffolding. You don't survive the storm by holding your breath and hoping the wind changes. You survive by changing with it. You drop the weight. You bend with the force. You move in directions you never considered. You reinvent. That's how species survive extinction. That's how legends are born. Not by being the strongest, but by being the most adaptable, the most fluid, the most honest about what the moment demands. And right now, this moment, your moment, demands more than imitation. It demands invention. It demands you stop trying to be who you were before the pain and instead become who you were meant to be because of it. You are not a monument. You are not stone. You are living. You are still breathing, which means you still have the power to change everything. Burn the blueprint. Keep the wisdom and build again. Not out of fear, not out of desperation, but out of intention. Because your future isn't behind you. It's the next step you take unapologetically different, fearlessly new. Adaptation isn't giving up. It's refusing to stay small. And when all the noise fades, when the battle's quiet and the fire cools, you're left with a deeper question than any you've asked before. What stays when everything leaves? Not the title, not the job, not the name you built your identity around. Those can vanish overnight. They often do. The world is full of people who lost everything they thought defined them. And some never found themselves again, not because they couldn't, but because they never looked. But you are different now. Because you've seen what happens when the external dissolves. You've stood in the center of collapse and realized this. What stays is what's real. Not what you perform, not what you pretend, but what you believe, what you choose, what you protect when no one's watching. That is the real foundation, the invisible architecture holding up your life. Your principles, your values, your ability to stay honest in the dark, your refusal to quit when it would be easier, your decision daily, hourly, to be kind when it costs, to stay disciplined when it hurts, to remain loyal to the truth even when it isolates you. These things, they are not popular. They will not trend. They will not make you rich overnight, but they will save you. When everything else is stripped away, they will be your spine. Because identity isn't what you say you are. It's what you prove when no one's clapping. It's what you fight for when it would be easier to drift. It's what you build with your own two hands when the tools are broken and the lights are gone. You're not made of your achievements. You're made of your decisions. The storm will ask you, again and again, what are you without your resume, without your image, without your tribe, without the plan you swore you needed? And you will answer not with words, but with presence. You will stay, not because you're invincible, but because you've found something inside that doesn't leave with the tide. Something permanent, something earned, something sacred. And when the world sees that, when it sees you standing in the wreckage, unshaken, unmasked, it will finally understand. You never needed the surface. You became the foundation. So now you know. Not everything survives. Not every dream makes it. Not every person stays. Not every plan unfolds the way you imagined when you were still naive enough to believe the world plays fair. But through it all, one thing remains. You. You scarred, but not broken. You changed, but not erased. You weathered, but not defeated. Because when it all fell apart, you did not. That's the final truth. That's the quiet miracle. Not that life went your way, but that you kept going anyway. Not that the world handed you peace, but that you carved it out of chaos with your bare hands. Not that pain spared you, but that you refused to let it define you. People talk about success like it's the destination, but you've learned better. Success is surviving what should have ended you. It's showing up again when it would have been easier to disappear. It's still believing in something in yourself when everything around you told you not to. You didn't come this far to be safe. You didn't endure the storm just to sit in silence. You didn't rebuild your soul only to hide it again. You were made for moments like this, for the breaking and the becoming, for the collapse and the climb, for the darkness and the decision to still be light. So let the world spin wild. Let the systems falter. Let the rules bend, and the floor shake, and the certainty vanish. You are not here to control the storm. You are here to outlast it, to grow inside it, to walk through the wreckage with your head high, your voice steady, and your purpose burning like a flare in the night. Because when it all falls apart, when the people leave, when the path dissolves, when the comfort vanishes, you must not. You must remain. Not because it's easy, but because you're ready. You've already been tested, already been burned, already learned the hard way that life owes you nothing. But you owe yourself everything. So you risen not to prove something. You rise because it's who you are now. You rise because you've earned it. And the world? It will break again. It always does. But you don't have to.